Hello, welcome to English with BDM. This is the second one in a series of videos on direct and indirect speech. In this video, I am going to explain the rules for changing different categories of interrogative sentences from direct speech to indirect speech. In the previous video, I explained the general rules of changing direct speech to indirect speech and illustrated the rules by using a number of declarative sentences. So, I also explained the additional rules applicable to declarative sentences. In each category of sentences, there are a few specific rules in addition to the general rules. So the general rules are equally applicable when we change interrogative sentences from direct to indirect, such as the rules for changing the tenses, the pronouns, the time adverbs, and the place adverbs. So, and the rules of the sequence of tenses. You know, when the principal clause of a complex sentence is in the past tense, in any form of past tense, the subordinate clause is to be in the past tense, in a suitable past tense form, with a few exceptions. And the same rules apply when we change speech from direct to indirect. We know that when we change speech of a declarative sentence from direct to indirect, the sentence is a declarative complex sentence. And similarly, when we change an interrogative sentence from direct to indirect, the sentence is a declarative complex sentence. This clause, the introductory clause, is always declarative because it gives us a piece of information. It tells us, in case of an interrogative sentence, who asked the question to whom. And we also know that the subordinate clause of a complex sentence is always to be declarative only. That is, first subject, then helping verb, if any, and the required form of the principal verb. Therefore, when we change speech of an interrogative sentence, where there is this inversion, a helping verb before the subject, helping verb before the subject, helping verb before the subject, we have to shift the helping verb to the right side of the subject. And at the end of each and every indirect speech sentence, we have to place the full stop because the whole sentence is a declarative one. And here, the sentence is a declarative complex sentence. So I request you to watch the previous video before you watch this one, because the two are very closely linked with one another. Let us now explain how these sentences are changed from direct speech to indirect speech. Look at these sentences from 1 to 7. In each of the sentences from 1 to 7, we have a helping verb before the subject. And as this sentence is in the present simple tense active voice, where there is no helping verb in the original structure, we make the present simple tense active voice by using the base form of the verb and add s or es to it when the subject is third person singular number. You know these things, very basic points of grammar. And so when we make an interrogative sentence, in this tense, present simple tense active voice, we need the help of the helping verb do, that is do, or its third person singular number form does. And in the past tense, we need the help of did and the base form of the verb. Naturally, according to the rules for changing tenses, this present simple tense turns into past simple tense. We cannot use did here because this clause is no longer a question, and it is not negative either. So we must use the second form. Therefore, the answer is, the man asked his friend whether Rubel lived in Delhi then. But if this sentence is a negative question, it is a positive question, it may be negative. Does Rubel not live in Delhi now? Doesn't Rubel live in Delhi now? Then we would have to use did in the indirect speech, because though in the indirect speech the clause is not interrogative, it remains negative if it is negative in the direct speech. But in a positive question, in present simple tense, we cannot use did in the indirect speech. We simply use the past tense form, the second form of the main verb. Number 2, the lady said to the member, has the president of the club arrived? The lady asked the member whether the president of the club had arrived. Notice that here the subject is a single word, noun, a proper noun, Rubel. In number 2, the subject is the president of the club. It is a noun phrase. So the subject may be a noun phrase, or a pronoun, as in number 3. She said to her brother, did you attend your friend's wedding party? So the answer is, she asked her brother whether he, which changes to he, had attended. The past simple tense, did attend, changes to the past perfect tense, active voice. He had attended his friend's wedding party. So the subject, a noun phrase or a pronoun, is placed after a helping verb. And then after the subject, the required form of the principal verb. Now if there are 2 or 3 helping verbs in the verb phrase, in the structure of the finite verb, we place only the first helping verb on the left side of the subject, and the other one or other ones remain on its right hand side, followed by the required form of the principal verb, as in sentence number 4. His father said to him, has the money been deposited in your bank account? We have got 2 helping verbs, has and been. We shift only the first one before the subject, and the second one remains on its right hand side, followed by the appropriate form of the main verb. And while changing speech, we must shift this helping verb to the right hand side of the subject after changing the tense. His father asked him whether the money had been deposited in his bank account. Number 5, he said to her, when will you return from office today? He asked her when she would return. The modal will turns into its past form, would. When she would return from office that day. The time and verb today changes to that day. Number 6, my mother said to me, whom did you help with the money? My mother asked me whom I had helped. Did help, past simple active voice, so it changes to past perfect tense active voice, whom I had helped with the money. Number 7, the old lady said to the girl, where are the children playing now? Where are the children playing now? The old lady asked the girl where the children were playing then. Now we have these 3 sentences where the structural pattern is different. In these sentences, these are the common interrogative sentences, where we get the subject after one helping verb, after one helping verb, after one helping verb. If there is no other helping, we place the main verb. If there is another helping verb, or there are 2 other helping verbs, we place the subject only after the first helping verb. But in such sentences, there is no such noun phrase or pronoun after any helping verb. Look at sentence number 8. Who removed my books from the table? Removed is in the past simple tense active voice where we need the help of did to make an interrogative sentence, as in number 6 and in number 3. It is also in the same tense, past simple tense active voice, yet we cannot use did to make the question. Here in 9, we have got two helping verbs. Has been damaged, just like number 4, has been deposited. Here we have placed the subject, the money, after the first helping verb and before the second helping verb. But here, the same tense and voice, the same structure of the verb has been damaged. But there is no such word, a noun, noun phrase, or pronoun after the helping verb. It is a question. It is an interrogative sentence. In number 10, the verb phrase is were swimming, past continuous tense active voice. But there is no noun, noun phrase, or pronoun after the helping verb. Yet these are correct interrogative sentences. Why does it so happen? What is the grammar point here? Listen to me carefully. Here, this word, an interrogative pronoun, who, is the subject of this question. Here the phrase whose car, a noun phrase that begins with a question word, is the subject of this verb. In the number 10, how many boys, this phrase, a noun phrase that begins with a question word and ends with a noun, is the subject of the interrogative sentence. So when an interrogative pronoun like who or what is used as the subject of the interrogative sentence, or when an interrogative phrase, that is a phrase that begins with a question word and ends with a noun, is used as the subject of the sentence, interrogative sentence, we place the verb on its right hand side. We do not use the extra helping verb, do, does, or did, in the simple present tense and simple past tense to make the question. It remains the same as we get in a declarative sentence. I removed her books from the table. The subject I or she, a noun or a pronoun. So the structural pattern of such sentences is the same as we get in declarative sentences. We place the verb, it may be a single word, it may be a multi-word verb like has been damaged or were swimming on the right hand side of the subject. And here the subject is an interrogative pronoun, a single word, or a phrase that begins with a question word, ends with a noun. Question word, noun. Here in this case we have an adjective, many, that modifies the noun, boys. So we have not any difficult point here. We need not change the position of any word. The words must remain in their original positions. We just change the tense where necessary. If there is any pronoun, first person pronoun or second person pronoun, we change it. And then we remove the question mark. We must, because the sentence in the answer in the indirect speech is invariably declarative. So number 8. The girl said to her mother, who removed my books from the table? The girl asked her mother who had removed. The past simple tense active voice changes to the past perfect tense active voice. Who had removed her books from the table. Number 9. My father said to me, whose car has been damaged in the accident? My father asked me, we can use inquired of to know some important piece of information, or in very formal situation, we can use the verb inquired of. My father inquired of me or asked me whose car had been damaged in the accident. Notice that has been damaged. The words remain in the same form, same order, had been damaged. We simply change the tense. in the accident, we drop the question mark, place a full stop, and of course we have to remove the quotation marks. Number 10, the man said to the cows, how many boys were swimming in the pool? Past continuous tense active voice. Naturally, it changes to the past perfect continuous tense active voice. The man asked the cows how many boys had been swimming in the pool. So these are the two categories of sentences depending on structural patterns. In the first pattern, we get the subject after one helping verb. And so in sentences of this pattern, the first pattern, we have to shift the position of the helping verb from the left side of the subject to its right side. And where the helping verb is not required, we drop it, as in this sentence. And in sentences of the second category, we don't need to change the position of any word because they are arranged just as you get in a declarative sentence. And in the indirect speech, we need the declarative form. Naturally, we don't need to change the position of any word. We simply change the tense, whatever necessary. We don't need to bring in any connective because each of the sentences of this pattern must have a question word. It may be who, whose, how, etc. I hope you have got a clear idea of the rules for changing different categories of interrogative sentences from direct speech to indirect speech. If the lessons, in your opinion, are helpful, you may consider subscribing to the channel and sharing the videos. Expecting to meet you soon in the next video. Until then, goodbye.